Hello and welcome to Scarfe Spurs, where your opinion matters. We've got plenty to get through once again tonight and a big panel joining us. We debate the biggest talking points surrounding Tottenham Hotspur. We discuss the latest Spurs news and ask whether the fees for Djed, Spence and Cristian Romero are simply too low, with a reported 60 million combined for them both. Could this be the first two poor deals of the transfer window, or is selling both simply in the best interest of everyone? We'll get into all this latest transfer talk, including Savinho, with the saga dragging on over 370 days now. Spurs closer than ever before to getting the Brazilian over the line. We'll also look ahead to Hoffenheim this weekend and what the Spurs need to improve on in this game, who to keep an eye on. It's a big panel, like I said. So get in your thoughts, your questions in. We want to hear from you. Let's get into it. Your opinion matters when you choose Scarfe Spurs Talk. Without further ado, let's introduce tonight's panel, hosted by me, Harry Scarfe. As always, delighted to say I'm joined by Gary Ward. Gary, it's fantastic to have you back on Scarfe Spurs. I always love having you, as I told you earlier. How have you been doing?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. It's been a while. I've taken a few weeks off of podcasts, and it's nice to be back. But unfortunately, I'm sweating my absolute, off in this little room. So if anyone can hear like a buzzing noise when I'm talking, it is the fan. It's literally right here, just off camera, that is shooting some mist into my face to try and calm me down. But other than that, pretty good. Welcome. Pleased to be back, and obviously with some great guys as well.
It's lovely to have you back. We all need a break, that's for sure. And as much as we're all probably looking forward to Tottenham being back, I mean, it might not have been the same if we didn't have that break, especially after what we saw last season. We all need it, let's be honest. Gary, thank you very, very much. And absolutely the fans, I think, keeping everyone alive right now in the fifth heatwave in the UK. What's this like? Unprecedented. I won't complain, but very, very hot. Gary, thank you very, very much. Anthony, it's fantastic to have you back on Scarfe Spurs also. How have you been doing?
I've been good, I've been in Devon for a week, so spent some nice quality time with the family. Nice. I'm now back. Went to the local Lido today. Bloody bacon, but I just made it back in time. So yeah, I'm good.
Perfect. That's what we like. Back in time. Perfect. Sounds like an amazing week and an amazing day also. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. Really do appreciate it. And Jordan, it's also been a little while, so it's fantastic to have you back on Scarfe Spurs to get closer to a new season. How have you been?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you for asking. Hope you're well too. A little bit different to Anthony there. I've been sitting in my house working all day, so very much feeling the heat, but from inside, not outside, which is a little bit of a shame, but we'll get through it. But yeah, excited to talk through some things. It's been a bit of a busy week at Tottenham, so I'm sure we'll cover everything. And yeah, always great to be on, and it should be a good one today with some good guests.
As you say, busy week at Tottenham's come out of nowhere, but I suppose you shouldn't be too surprised because they're getting closer to a deadline day. Ultimately, it's come around really quickly, but it's always the way, isn't it, Jordan, as well with the sun? You just know that it gets the weekend, maybe you'll be off work and all of a sudden the temperature drops massively and, you feel you can't complain because it's been nice, but you're like, oh, come on, this is not fair. Same every single time. But Jordan, it's great to have you back on. Alfie, great to have you back on as well. Went on the last episode, but had you on the 3 running episodes before that. So, doing quite well, looking good. 4 appearances and 5. How have you been?
Yeah, not bad. Everyone's favourite Northerners here. So, it's going to be a good episode. But yeah, like Jordan said, a lot has happened this week. So I'm looking forward to breaking it all down. And pleasure as always. And obviously to the people that I've not met before on the panel, I look forward to finally getting to know you.
Absolutely. Should be a good one. So let's waste no time and get straight into it. A quick partnership shout out before we do dive into the action. If you're looking for a place to discuss Tottenham with fellow supporters, check out Everything Spurs on Discord, run by a friend of my own and also the channel in Willsey, a community of over 11,000 members. You have your active matchday discussion, transfer news debates, football chat daily. If you would like to get involved, head over to find the invite link. You can find it in our description, actually, or simply head to discord.gg/ComeUSpurs in the web browser. Let's crack straight into the action then. I actually want to start with ultimately the Carabao Cup kickoff time confirmed. We won't discuss this, but this was announced yesterday for anyone that hasn't seen it. So if you haven't seen, we've drawn with Charlton Athletic. We discussed it in the last episode, actually given a live reaction on air, and it's home. So thank goodness it's not a Premier League side. Thank goodness it's at home, but Time and date confirmed. So it's Wednesday, the 26th of August at 7:45 kickoff. So 7:45 on a Wednesday night. I was asked about that in the chat, so they go answering that question. Pedro Porro was given quite a special welcome back at Hotspur Way, of course, winning the World Cup with Spain. Alfie, you're nodding there. That tells me that I assume that you saw it. What did you make of it? I mean, it's quite special. Do you think that De Zerbi gets it and Tottenham get it? It felt like the vibes were back.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, it's not just the first teams either. It was the youth players too, which I really liked. It feels like it's all coming together now. De Zerbi just gets it, man. Like, you're only as strong as your weakest link in terms of morale. You need to get everyone involved. And yeah, the video was just nice to watch, I think, especially after last season. It's nice to see a bit more positivity, especially after Porro left the World Cup. I mean, he deserves it, absolutely deserves it.
He totally does, and he smashed it along with the whole Spain team, particularly the back line. I was super impressed with. But for now, let's move on to Micky van de Ven, because a few days ago, then he signed a 5-year deal. Anthony, coming to you, what did you make of this? I mean, some people say, it feels as good as a signing. So I want to know how you feel about that, getting Micky van de Ven committed. Because make no mistake about it, there was a time, wasn't there, last year where him and Romero, both their future was uncertain. It always felt like probably going to keep one and lose one. But now it's completely changed. Van de Ven's committed, 5-year deal. What do you make of it?
Yeah, no. For me, it's definitely a good thing. There was one point in this last season where you just didn't know who was going to be around next season. And, as De Zerbi said, he came in and told the players that if you want to get a move next season, then you got to help me stay up. And, I think in that time, a lot of the players believed in De Zerbi, believed in the project. And, Micky van de Ven is definitely someone we want to keep for the future. And the fact that he's got his international teammate, alongside him, it seems like they could have a nice future together, So for me, it's definitely seen as a sign-in for me as well. I think we're going to start to see the best of Micky.
Fingers crossed. Thank you very, very much. Gary, coming to you, what's your reaction to Van de Ven signing a 5-year deal? Reported he's got a year extension, and also reported that he's going to be on around 240k a week. I want to particularly ask you also, in terms of people that go, that is simply too much, that's not right. Maybe the same people that were making the argument that we need to break our wage structure and pay more. So maybe a little bit of hypocrisy there?
Potentially, but for me, you've got to look at it two ways. We either want to continue in the road that we were going down, essentially would have put us down if we continue on that road, or that we change, and we need a complete change and an overhaul, not just only within the team itself, but also in the way that the structure is done. We need to start breaking transfer records. We did that twice in 1 week. We need to start breaking wage structure. By all accounts, we've done that with Tonali and a number of other players are getting to the higher levels that we've been. So, I'm pleased that he's re-signed, obviously. Last year, I did say Cristian Romero would like a new signing. So I'm going to not say that this year, just out of the fact that I don't want to jinx it because of how it ended up. But I absolutely love Micky van de Ven. I think he's brilliant. He's way too good looking for our team. For starters, I mean, look at him. But he's a fantastic football player, absolutely pivotal to what's going forward. And I'm really, really pleased that the Roberto De Zerbi has come in and has really changed a lot of things around the football club. And essentially players like Micky van de Ven, who, let's be fair, was probably going to look to leave this summer. He's gone, no, I want to be here. I want to be part of what this guy's building. So credit to the club, credit to the manager, and obviously to Micky as well. And let's hope that he can hit the ground running going forward.
Fingers crossed. Gary, thank you very, very much. Jordan, coming to you. Gary in particular says there in terms of De Zerbi and giving him credit, do you agree with that? And do you think a lot of this is down to Roberto De Zerbi? Because a lot of players' futures, including Van de Ven, maybe just from a fan perspective, it certainly did feel uncertain. So to have him stay, commit to a long-term contract, is that purely credit to the manager and what he's been able to do in such a short period of time?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that a lot of players have bought into it. And I think for me, one of the main concerns was, you've got Fernandes coming in, Tonali coming in, both saying that, we want to play under De Zerbi, right? But for me, then the issue was going to be the players that we potentially wanted to keep. Are they going to buy in the same as people coming in the new? And I think bringing in Van de Ven on such a long contract is more of a statement of that intent for what we want to do. And I think paired with the Romero and Spence, which we'll obviously touch on later, I think it's very clear that now he's having a clear out. Whether, 5-10 years down the line we regret some of these stuff is completely a different conversation to have. But I think now more than ever, De Zerbi's putting his stamp on the team. And we've said for ages that we don't back managers. So, we don't buy players for managers or let managers have a say on how things go. So now that they are, I'm not, going to suddenly start complaining. The Van de Ven thing in general for me is massive. One of our best players, one of the most, I guess, unique profiles in world football. And as you said there, definitely a player that could have gone to one of the best teams in the club, in the country, or even in the world. I'm sure there'd be a lot of teams sniffing around him. But and the same thing, with a wage structure and the fact that this is now breaking it and it feels like we're moving away from that. That was always a thing for me. It was like that sort of niggling feeling in the back of your head that no matter what we do, there's always going to be that thing to hold us back. No matter, even under the really good days under Poch, when you thought something was really growing, but it always felt like we was held back by just them doubts about, but we're never really going to expand or really grow on what we're trying to build because we simply aren't going to offer the wages for the players in order to do that. So I'm hoping that this is not only a statement bringing one of our best players back and how he is invested in the manager, but also a sign of things to come where, as with the Tonali and the Fernandez deal, who we want, when we want, if we can now do it, we will.
Well said. I agree with that, Jordan. Fingers crossed. It's the sign of more change and in positive direction. Jordan, thank you very, very much. Before we move on from Van de Ven, Alfie, can I come to you? I don't know if it's possible, but just kind of think maybe a bit creatively here. Any way do you think Micky Van de Ven's contract, or maybe something was said to him before signing the contract in terms of, look, your club captain, or more realistically, maybe have a role within the leadership team? Any discussion do you think there before signing a new deal?
That was my initial thought. I thought him signing that long-term deal and the way they announced the signing with De Zerbi, in the media photos, it kind of shows us that Van de Ven is that guy for Tottenham now. And I don't think James Maddison will be captain. I could see a world where it's Van de Ven going into next year, or if it's not that, he's definitely going to have a senior role in that leadership team, which I wouldn't mind, to be honest. Lead by example, of course. Romero's just gone. Van de Ven's now you look at him and think he's one of the leaders now because Romero's gone. So again, I think he has been told that he'll be part of the leadership team, and that's maybe swayed his vote instead of signing that new contract.
Quite possibly. Well, I suppose that we're maybe a little bit more when we find out who is club captain, who is in that leadership group. Just go through a couple of comments here. Then Robbie says in the YouTube chat that Van de Ven extending is like a great new signing, fending off any Liverpool interest. We've got here that Van de Ven, one of the signings of the summer. That's the thing. Sometimes when you commit your best assets, it certainly does feel like a new signing. But for now, let's progress then, because when I said that we got a lot to get through, I meant it, because a lot has happened since the last episode on Monday. One of them being Djed Spence to Inter Milan. Here we go. Alfie, can I actually stick with you and get your reaction to this? We've spoken about this, haven't we? We've done stuff, videos on this. How do you feel about this? Coming an Inter Milan player.
It hurts, It really hurts. After the World Cup, he's just had. When he came to the club, I want to come back to that. I always believed in him. I watched him in the Championship for Forest and Middlesbrough, and I just thought he's got Tottenham written all over him. And I was really excited when he came into the club. Has he had the best time at Tottenham? Not always, but I think over the last kind of 12 months, we really saw a different side to Djed Spence, and even at the World Cup, we saw a different side to him. So yeah, I'm gutted he's gone, because you look at that right back position now. Porro is probably the only starting player in that position. So for me, there's a lack of depth there. I think Djed Spence would have been a good depth option. And I think the fee of 35 million is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he's an England international in his prime. Yeah, he's at least 50 million just based off them two things there. So yeah, I think it's a ridiculous signing, to be honest. Sale, to be honest. I'm not happy about it, to be completely honest with you.
No, that's fine. I always ask you to be honest, so no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think we've done a poll out or a survey amongst Spurs fans, and the majority would have preferred to keep him, let's just say. So
100%.
I think you're right to mention that. Alfie, thank you very, very much. Anthony, if I can come to you on Djed Spence. So the latest we have from Fabrizio Romano in the last half an hour is that Djed Spence will undergo a medical at Inter tomorrow. So that is Friday, after a deal agreed yesterday, so Wednesday. 31.5 million euros fixed fee plus add-ons to a 35 million euro package. Spence has been allowed to travel by Spurs. Are you surprised the fee is low? Because I think a lot of us laughed at when we heard Everton were really willing to pay much more than £25 million. So even after his amazing World Cup, are you disappointed that we couldn't get more?
First of all, I think one of us need to get down over to Milan and give him some of our famous lasagna and hopefully ruin that medical. But it's such a low fee. It really is. I think Tottenham's just thinking about it in the sense of if we were to sell him to a Premier League club, he probably would have gone for more, because Premier League clubs are the ones that can really afford him, and you know, your clubs over in sort of Qatar, etc. But in terms of clubs in Italy, Spain, they can't afford those type of fees. So I think with like the add-ons and the 10% and things like that, that's how we're trying to recuperate some of that money. But for me, the fee is low. I would have wanted him to stay. I think he's a quality player. I think I love his story in terms of the hardship of how things was from at the beginning for Tottenham, and he's now grown to be this player. And you know, he's a right back, but he's been playing left back, and he's done a good, decent job. And I was hoping that he was going to be part of that right back, you know, quartet. But you know, ultimately, if he wants to leave and he wants to push on and play football somewhere where he's going to get constant first team football, then, you know, I wish him nothing but the best. Then we just need to really make sure we have somebody ready in the bag to bring in who's going to fit into De Zerbi's system.
Okay, thank you, Anthony, very, very much. Gary, I'll come to you. I want to get your thoughts to how you feel personally about Djed Spence leaving Tottenham and going to Inter Milan, and whether you think this is De Zerbi not really trusting Djed Spence, or, you know, not too confident in him, or do you think purely the player just wants a new challenge? Maybe he's been told, look, you can't be left back, or I can't guarantee you minutes.
I think it's a bit of everything, actually. I think that he wants to play. He wants guarantees. Clearly, the manager isn't giving guarantees to players. He's come out and said that. I like Djed Spence. However, I don't think we've seen anywhere near the capabilities of what he can do. And I think that Pedro Porro is a better football player. And I think Andy Robertson is equally a better football player. I think that he needs to mature. And I think his attitude sometimes is questionable. I'm not in any way, shape or form saying I want him to have left or go, because I felt like what the club was trying to build, and certainly De Zerbi's coming out and saying we need two players in every position to compete and challenge for minutes. If you're not prepared to do that, then I'm definitely with the Roberto De Zerbi sort of thinking here is then you can go. I think if Daniel Levy was still here, he wouldn't have been sold. That's for sure. We'd be just sticking on and holding on, and that's what's caused issues within the dressing room and the decline that we've experienced. If him, Vicario, Romero, you don't want to be here and you're not prepared to fight for the shirt and essentially fight for your place, I absolutely wish you the best and move on. The question just come up with, is there this one? Yeah. What evidence is there? What evidence is there that his attitude is questionable? Go and have a look when he walked past Thomas Frank. You don't do that.
And a lot of managers have said it, haven't they? I mean, Neil Warnock was the most blunt about it, but there seems to be managers just concerned about Spence, and nobody's able to put a finger on it.
He's fallen. He's not been favoured with any manager that he's played for at Tottenham.
It's true.
Conte didn't want him. Conte didn't want him at all. And it's questionable. He was on the bench for most of the time last year when De Zerbi came in. Udogie went straight in as soon as he came out of an injury. I know this is the negative. I hate being negative. I hate it. But I'm trying to give a different viewpoint of it. I don't want him to have gone. Certainly wouldn't want it to have gone. So I think him at right back with Pedro Porro would be fantastic. If you're not prepared to compete for that, then move on. I think the fee's low, like Alfie was saying, it is low. But the reality, again, like Anthony said, is there is no money outside of England. We have to maximise what we can do, and we're not going to come up against him at all this year. That's for sure. And we may do it in the future. But that's the reality. We have to. We want a hard rebuild until it gets hard, and then we start losing people that we actually like, and it's just unfortunately the reality of what's happening.
That's true. Rebuilds are never easy, and you're right. They involve getting rid of players you don't want. But Gary, sticking with you, just lastly, do you think that maybe the World Cup we saw with Spence, as good as it was, and as I think proud and happy we were with him or of him, do you think that maybe was a little bit of a false representation in terms of what we could have this season? A lot of people saying that Djed Spence for England in the World Cup is very different to the Spence we've seen at Tottenham.
Cristian Romero is very different for Argentina than he is for Tottenham. Some players just play differently for different managers, different circumstances. Playing in the World Cup, and if you're not being able to perform at your highest ability in the World Cup quarterfinals, semi-finals, then people are going to question you as a player, I guess. I think he played well. I think he played towards the latter end of the tournament. He played well. But even during the World Cup, obviously Tuchel had some issues with him, didn't he? They could see some things were coming out, and he was being pulled off, and he was being screamed and shouted at in training and whatnot. So I struggled to see where he would be able to fit in. So I just think Pedro Porro is a better football player. I just think he's better all round for us moving forward. I think it's just a shame because of the lack of European football this year. That's not only is hurting us in terms of our squad, but also hurting us financially. And Djed is going to be one of those players that, like, I guess, a Sarr and a Bergvall, the lack of minutes being offered is just not going to be there.
Absolutely.
Evidence in as many fixtures. I mean, I'm not in any training sessions, so I can't comment on that one, but I know the captain didn't turn up for a number of training sessions. I know that for a fact.
Certainly did. Okay, Gary, thank you very, very much. Before we move on from Djed Spence to talk about Cristian Romero, Jordan, coming to you, what do you think this means then in terms of the rest of the transfer window? Does it mean that we need to now be signing a right back? Of course, in an ideal world, you sign someone that, like Djed Spence, the irony, who's actually can play left back and right back at a decently good level. I'm just thinking now, is the club's priority going to 100% be with the attack? And instead, is it going to be about bringing in a right back? Because Gray's the only other cover. So if Porro gets injured or anything happens, we've been lucky so far that hasn't happened. But any concerns in that position that we need to bring someone in?
Yeah, I think you're bang on. The irony is that we'd probably be looking at Spence for a £35 million fee and be like, listen, we can go for that, The Spence one, for me, personally, I really love him. As a player, but also sort of what he represents. Just in general, I sort of like that. The attitude, the whole will not stuff. I like that, but I also understand how that could be in a professional football environment difficult. But I don't really want to talk too much on behaviours or anything like that. I think purely from a club point of view, we've always been so bad at selling. We always hold on way too long. We hold out for that, and this is very, very much under Levy, but it was very much like hold out way too long, don't get any money for them, and eventually they go off for free or end up selling, Lo Celso for shares in Johnny Cardoso. We've always been so bad at selling, and now is it the case of he's probably had its best burst on the national scene? We're seeing him in the World Cup where people have seen, okay, now we kind of want to sign him. Would I prefer? I'd much rather take 35 from Inter Milan than 45, 50 from Everton or Liverpool or Man United. I think their margins there, as sort of on initial reading, 35 seems really low for, as we said, an international, a player that's played at the top level and has clearly got that ability. But if it's the case of it's 35 in Italy or 35 in Spain, or strengthening a rival and keeping him in the Prem, for what is 15 million to a billionaire franchise. Like, my thing is that 15 million shouldn't affect Savinho deal or anything like that. And if we do need to sell players, the harsh reality of it is we're not in a position of strength where we can hold out and wait, and he'll play Champions League games and stuff like that. We've got too many players regardless, and that's not just quality wise, that's actually numbers in the changing room. There's too many there. We're going to need to sell some. But yeah, what you're saying there about, does it squad building wise cause an issue? Definitely, because it's sort of two positions that are sold, be it backup left back, backup right back. And are we now going to then slap 40 on Nico Williams? That is a very similar and sort of that adaptability and availability. I'm not sure. I hope it doesn't take away from the attacking signings that we desperately do need. But I assume right now it will be Archie Gray as the backup right back, especially with how De Zerbi wants his fullbacks pretty much playing in centre midfield anyway. There'll be that rotation. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up not, and potentially then Sousa stays, and then we've got three left backs, and maybe they'll look at Sousa playing on the right, Archie Gray that can cover, and sort of relying on Pedro Porro to have one game a week, and that goes well. But yeah, definitely causes some squad building issues. And yeah, I'm fully with you in the sense of, if that then affects the drastic signings that we need elsewhere, then it's really bad squad management.
I have to see what's to come in terms of whether it was a right decision or not. I guess we can all have our opinion now, but we don't know really until it plays out just a little bit. But for now, let's move on to Romero then, because some say two in the price of one if you're keen to get them both out the club. But both, here we goes for Romero and Spence on the same day. So Cristian Romero to Atlético Madrid, here we go. Fabrizio Romano saying that agreement in place between the clubs with Tottenham at a €40 million package, add-ons included. Inter Milan deal off in July, he said, and Barcelona were not going to proceed. Apparently, they decided that days ago. I don't remember that being reported, but anyway, Spurs were never going to sell to Arsenal, adds Fabrizio Romano. Anthony, can I return to you? How do you feel about this one? I mean, it's hardly the most surprising transfer in football history, it's fair to say, but is the price again surprising and slightly underwhelming? And what is an inflated market?
Again, the price is low, but someone like Cristian Romero, he's probably going to do more harm than good for our squad. If we're trying to really rebuild a new squad, etc., we cannot have Cristian Romero in the squad. So I think, again, probably had to take a hit in terms of the fee, but it just means that he's gone now. We don't have to deal with him. If he had to stay until January, for example, or, one more season, the influence that he potentially could have had on, other players would have been disastrous. So I think he's seen Tottenham as a stepping stone. He's given us some good performances. I'm not going to turn around and make it seem like it's been all bad. But, when he's constantly on social media and putting out posts, and sometimes, some of the stuff that he said in social media, they are the right things. But it just always seemed like it was always pushing towards a move rather than backing the team. So, yeah, again, the fee's low, but we got to keep things moving. I know we've discussed a lot about bad selling and things like that, but sometimes you just got to get players out. And if he's one of them that we just got to get out just to make sure that we have a good dressing room, then sometimes you just got to do it. But in today's market, really and truly, minimum we should be getting 60 million for Romero. But I do feel that because he's on social media a lot and discussing things, I think he's put himself in this great situation where, Atletico has been able to pay less money. I think if he was, let's say if he was like a Harry Kane, kept his mouth quiet, etc., just trained, we wouldn't be discussing, 40 million or whatever it may be. We'll be discussing a higher fee.
You're right. I think you're right, Anthony. Thank you very, very much. Alfie, coming to you, is this fair to say, and tell me if you disagree, but great player, great defender, but massive discipline issue and not a very good captain or leader?
Bang on. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. He's a fantastic centre back, probably one of the best in the world. That's why I think the fee should be higher. But we've seen it. He's a liability. He gets a red card. God knows how many times a season. He's played 60% of his games for Tottenham, which isn't good enough, especially for a captain. His actions don't speak as loud as his words. He can call out the board. He can call out the higher ups, but on the pitch he doesn't back it up. And for the sake of 40 million to get rid of a liability, that's a fee I don't mind. Would I have liked more? Yes, but to get rid of him and just have I think a better squad dynamic is better. I think it's completely better, and it'll obviously give chance for the new centre back signings like Senesi to get a chance in the squad. Because I think if Romero was still there, I don't think Senesi would get a look in, to be honest. So yeah, I'm glad Romero's gone. I wish him the best. He's now Atletico Madrid's liability. So there we go.
Not a problem, in other words. Okay, Alfie, thank you very, very much. Jordan, I'll come to you. We've discussed Romero plenty of times, and that's an understatement on this podcast together. How do you feel now he's kind of off our books? Okay, not officially in terms of announced, but, it's happening. And do you think actually that he can excel at Atletico? Because that's what my impression is under Simeone. I think he's actually going to do really well, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Romero's such a difficult subject. I feel like for me, there's clearly a player there, and I feel like everyone said that, and because we all know it, right? There's such a player there, but I feel like I'm happy that he's gone now, in the sense of I think in an overall, he probably was a net negative for not only what we are, but what we're trying to build. And as I say, I'm not going to be the guy that now he's gone suddenly, he was never that good or anything like that. Because similar to what the guys have said here, I've seen glimpses where he's up there for me on performances, not career. He's had performances on the par of Jan, Toby, Ledley King and stuff like that. He's been at that quality in very short bursts for me personally. So it feels like a smaller fee, but the same thing, it comes back to it for me. It's like Atletico are very much aware of the position that we're in, and we have at the moment no bargaining power, right? We have zero bargaining power, because we'll turn around and be like, no, trust us, Romero's like really, really good. They'll be like, oh yeah, but you finished 17th in the last 2 seasons. He's like, no, trust us, like we're actually good, like he's really good.
And they know we want to get rid of him, don't they? And that's
exactly. The thing. Yeah. We've sort of, and this is always going to be the case, right? When you penny pinch and you make the wrong decisions, like it'd be nice if the whole Frank stuff sort of had gone now, but we're still going to be feeling the repercussion for it for a while. And this is probably one of them. Whereas if we finish even, top 8, top 10 last season, and he plays a little bit more, obviously that's by the by whether he actually will or not, then we hold a little bit more bargaining power. But they're looking at us now saying, he wants to leave, you want to sell him. Are you going to give him to Man United? Are you going to get do you know what I'm saying? So we don't really hold the bargaining chips at all in a lot of these transfers. And as I say, that's going to be the case for us for a while. But yeah, as I say, I love him. I wish he loved us more. I do think like a lot of the time where I sort of convinced myself that like he's proper Tottenham for calling out the board, but I can't remember who said it. It was like, it's very possible that he is just angling for a move. So you never quite knew. Like, I'd love to have a nutty Argentinian captain that loves us, but the sad reality is he loves Argentina more, and you know what it is? That's fair. I think the net positive for it to be all now is for him to leave, and I think he leaves now with a relatively good sort of Tottenham legend that he's had. He's won the Euro, like he was, I know obviously Sonny came on at the end, but he was very much the captain in the game, Europa League final. And as I say, we can look back at it in 5 years relatively fondly, but now is definitely the time to part ways, especially with the sort of new recruitments that we've brought in as well.
Totally that. Jordan, thank you very much. You make some excellent points. I agree with pretty much everything you say there. Jordan, thank you very, very much. For me, I look at this and go, it's a bit of a shame because absolutely, I think it's right, as you all kind of alluded to, and I'm going to come to the Gary next as well. You've all alluded to that it just feels the right time to part ways. That's something I think you hear a lot amongst Spurs fans this summer. It certainly does feel that way. But I look at this and think, De Zerbi and Romero, what could have been? And I actually genuinely think Romero cares. This may surprise some people, and I could be totally wrong with that. I just think he's not a leader. I think he's not a captain. I think that was a mistake. Was he probably the best candidate at the time? Yes, and that speaks volumes, I think, to the lack of leadership and arguably also the lack of talent we had. I think that was the wrong selection. But as a player, I'd still back him. But I think a bit of a hothead has let him down. Do you know what? When he said the things about the club, I don't think it's been about pushing for a move. I think he does genuinely care, but sometimes there is a thing in the world where you can care too much. I think maybe we saw that with Romero, of course, caring more about Argentina, but I think that's probably a South American thing, if I'm allowed to say it. Gary, I'll come to you. De Zerbi and Romero, when you say it out loud, I don't know about you, it feels like a match made in heaven. Do you think there's any possibility we look back at it and go, what could have been? Having said that, it does feel the same under Simeone that it was meant to be Romero and Simeone.
I think that's a time bomb waiting to go off, if I'm honest. Both of them are very hotheads, aren't they? But good luck to him. Like all the other lads have said, I've got no ill feelings towards him or Djed Spence, despite, I was quite negative against Djed a moment ago, and I was trying to look at all areas. But in terms of Cristian Romero, I just think that it's a natural ending. I think it probably should have ended last summer. For whatever reason, it didn't, and we tried to hold on. And I think that's where I alluded to earlier with Djed Spence. We probably would have tried to hold on to him if Daniel Levy was here, as we did with Romero last year. He's obviously very influential, and I think his attitude really was poor towards the end. And I think that started bringing a lot of things down. And we don't need that. And the lack of leadership's clearly there last season. He is the leader. Always meant to be, and if he's getting himself sent off, being petulant, making rash, silly decisions, what are other players going to do around it? It cost us. He just became a liability, especially in like the Liverpool game, just kicking out for no reason. The things that he did could have really, really costed us.
Sorry to interrupt, Gary, but I don't know about if anyone remembers, and I could be hopefully not making this up, but what sticks out to me the best was AC Milan. I think you either drew the game 0-0 or lost 1-0, and it was like added time at the end, and the players going off the pitch, and Romero's kind of 2-footed someone and got sent off near the tunnel area. You just think, what are you doing? You've lost your head.
I just felt, and you could tell pretty quickly if he was. I kind of put it down to bored. I don't know if that might sound right, but you could look at him and he looked like, I've had enough, and he would just go, and that was it. And you would know, you're sitting in the stadium like he's going to get sent off. You just see it happen. You can't have that. It just looks like ability.
Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out there, but I totally.
Yeah, no, sorry. He just became a liability, and I feel that it is a natural ending. Again, it's low, but I don't know, mate. But there was a rumor come out that his dad had spoken that he had a release clause. Who knows? It might be, but equally, we've gone in early. We've bought 2 centre backs in the summer, which is slightly detrimental to us to sell the player, because clubs are going to go, well, we know you need to sell him. We know you need to sell now because you've got too many players. We know that he clearly wants to go to Atlético Madrid. So he's got what he wants. I wish him the best out in Madrid. It's going to be interesting viewing, that's for sure, him and Diego Simeone, because he won't act like he has at Tottenham with Simeone. That's for sure.
No, absolutely. 2 hotheads is absolutely fair to describe them both. Who's going to get more red cards? Who's going to, get involved in all that stuff more is the real question, rather than actually how's he going to get on. That might be a good indicator. But before we come to the chat, there's a lot of comments, people keen to chip in. There always is, particularly when you mention Romero's name. I completely understand and acknowledge that. But for Spence and Romero combined, it looks like 60 million. That's what it looks like for both. Alfie, I'll come to you. Is that quite poor again? Reiterating that in an inflated market, of course, we are in a position that's important to note where ideally we do sell. I'm thinking particularly the foreign quota, therefore, applying to Romero. But 60 million for both. I mean, you could get that, as you said before, just for Romero. So
yeah,
quite disappointing when you look at it like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to be realistic, the lowest amount we should have ever accepted for both players is probably like 90 million, 60 for Romero. No, sorry, that's wrong. 50 for Romero, 40 for Spence. That would have been better, but I think you could have easily capitalised and maybe got 110 million, 60 for Romero and 50 for Spence potentially because of his stature in the game, his player profile, he's playing for England. He had a good World Cup. He's got decent Premier League experience. A lot of foreign clubs like that about Premier League players, that they've had that experience at such a top level. So I think if we really held out, which we could have really, because he's a good backup, to be honest. So it was a win-win for us anyway. If he didn't go, we got a good backup. If he does go, we can get good money for him. We could have easily got 110 million, to be honest, for both.
Can I just jump in on that, Harry?
Of course.
I agree that the fees are low. I just wanted to put a caveat on it. If they was as good as we think, there'd have been more people coming in for him.
With Romero, there was. Yeah,
there wasn't anybody for Spence. Who was coming in for Spence in the Premier League? Who was coming in for Romero in the Premier League? If they were at that, there would be teams falling over themselves for them, and I just didn't see that. I just didn't see anybody outside of England, inside of England, falling over themselves to get them. Again, we've just finished 2 seasons. I know we all know this. 2 seasons back to back, 17th place. Both of them are part of that. And the attitude that I saw from the players and the other players as well, like the chat's alluded to, Premier League clubs are looking at that and they're thinking, do we want to take this risk? I think 40 million is low. It's obviously low, which I agree with you, Alfie. It is low, but I just don't see people queuing up for them, which is interesting.
You know, I want to come back to the Premier League clubs. As much as it pains me to say it, Arsenal wanted him and they're the champions. That shows some kind of interest in the Premier League from the best team in the league. So there's that. And Barcelona and it's Barca, Inter Milan, and Atletico Madrid, the top European clubs. So it's not a matter of fact that teams didn't want him. It was a fact of there was doubts. Again, when we was talking about the Romero thing, I understand why his fee was slightly lower because he's a liability to us. We probably just want to get rid of him, to be honest. So that's why when I alluded to the start when I said 90 million combined, and I'd probably be more happy with that, I think. But yeah, I get where you're coming from in terms of teams were falling over themselves to get the player. I get it.
I think as well is we're going to take some losses in some places and we're going to take some wins in others. We sold Luka Vuskovic for 50 million.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about anybody else, but he's not kicked a ball in the Premier League. We don't know if that's the reality of what he's going to be at 50 million. That could be a huge win for us. Obviously, it could be a loss. So it's going to potentially even itself out as we go through the rebuild. I just think that ultimately we've signed Bournemouth's Player of the Year for free, and essentially Brighton's best player for £2 million. And then I would have not liked to have seen Djed Spence go. So I think now we're going to have to go back in the market.
Yeah.
But I think it'll even itself out as we go along. We're going to take some wins here and maybe a little bit losses in other places.
Yeah, I mean, I like you brought the Vuskovic thing because you can kind of reverse them. You could say Romero's worth the £52 million that we sold Vuskovic for, and then Vuskovic is worth a £40 million. So in that respect, it does even itself out. With the Romero sale, I wasn't that upset about it, but with the Spence one, we've got a very light right back situation now, natural right back anyway. So we have to go back in the market and spend more money on, I think, it's a very light area, I think, in world football. There's not many great left backs available. Obviously, you look at Crystal Palace and Munoz potentially, but is he willing to be back up? I don't think so.
That's not going to come cheap either, is it? So you do you know what I mean? You gain nothing money-wise from selling Spence. That's the issue I have.
And we're about to spend £70 million on Savinho. We'll come on to that, obviously. Get him, by the way. Cody Gakpo, potentially. But yeah, it's just a lot of money to spend when we could have helped ourselves out, really, going forward. But yeah, I agree with what you said, Gary, about Romero. Completely agree with you.
Do you know, I think both right. I agree with both of you. With Gary's point, I think he's right in terms of nobody's on their hands and knees. Like, please give me Cristian Romero, particularly also, who's, please give me Djed Spence. I also think the money's not there outside the Premier League either. So I think that's another problem. So I think both together, that you have a bit of a problem moving on players. I think maybe Vicario is a little bit different in terms of, I think Gary's for that absolutely spot on, that there is just no interest in him. Because if the clubs can't pay 15 million or around that, then, something's seriously wrong, even if the money's not there, which it isn't outside the Premier League. But Anthony, if I can come to you before we do progress. So 60 million for them both. First poor deals of the window. I'm thinking particularly Djed Spence. I think the majority of people had accepted, Romero is going to leave. Happy for him to leave. I know the fee's an issue, but for Djed Spence, a player that the majority, I would say, I don't speak for everybody, the majority of fans wanted to stay and a low fee. Poor business.
It's a bit like what Gary said. Gary said, I think over the course of the window, it will level itself out. But I think because both of these players have had a history of attitude problems, etc., I think it's one of those ones you don't want to affect the long-term building of your team. I think De Zerbi's, he's coming, he wants to make a statement in terms of getting in his signings. And again, yes, Spence probably went to play first-team football. But at the same time, he wants people who are committed to the project and not going to be giving grief and stuff like that. So I think, yes, the fees are cheap, but I think we will see the fruits of it from getting rid of these two over the course of the season and how our squad progresses. So yeah, cheap fee, but I think it's good business that we've got them out.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a balanced, I think, way of looking at it. But we're going to run through the comments on this because we talked about this for a little while, and I know that people always have a lot to say, particularly when we mention Romero. So just going to go through some of the comments now, then we will progress because there is quite a few. So big up to everybody that's had their say, those listening live on YouTube, or if you put in a question after as well, we can always get back to you on that. But just looking here, a lot of people chipping in on Vuskovic, different opinions. We've got a couple of opinions in the chat, one saying that we'll look back and regret it, and another saying that it's fantastic business. David Clark on Romero says, how many goals have Spurs conceded since Romero's been at the club? I haven't looked, but I bet it's plenty. Well, the numbers certainly are not good. They're not good at all in terms of goals conceded. And one thing I would say in pre-season, it looks like we're better defensively, and that for me is a very positive sign. On Djed Spence, Aaron says, don't see the point in signing a replacement, to be fair. If he wanted to back up in that spot, find a way to keep Spence. We won't get better than him on the market for that type of squad role. The versatility and quite a low price as well. It's a very good point that you do make. But yeah, a lot of people having their say, just kind of discussing amongst each other as well. But this comment I'll read out from Premier Hotspur. It says, evening guys, I just want to say to the fan base to be patient and judge it at the end of the window. I think we've seen a big improvement on the team, and I think the forwards will come, guys. Keep faith. I hope you're right, the forwards will come. I hear you. Thank you very, very much. But ultimately, this comment is right from David Clark. It is De Zerbi's decision, and we're in this position now where what De Zerbi says goes, really, or most of the time anyway. So yeah, I back him, and if he thinks it's right to move both of these on, then you have to trust his judgment on that. We'll move on to Savinho. Alfie, I know how you feel about this. I know you're desperate, even more so than Savinho at this rate, to come to Tottenham. What are you thinking then? Because it looks like it's getting closer than ever. It's dragging on now over 370 days. If you look at Fabrizio Romano's first tweet saying that Tottenham are interested. I mean, do you feel, firstly, for Savinho, that when it does get done, well, I'm sure there'll be lots of relief and joy, etc. Any hype killed from the fact that it felt like it could have been our player over a year ago now?
No, I think it's actually created hype. I mean, we went in last summer and we really wanted him, didn't get him. And we got the news that was interested in January. Didn't get him. Third time's a charm, but I think we've got him now. I mean, it's basically agreed. So I don't think the hype's been killed. I think, if anything, it's created more hype. We're going to finally see him after nearly a year without of rumours. We're finally going to see him in a Tottenham shirt and light up the lane. So I look forward to it.
Absolutely, it's looking good. So the latest that we have, when I saw from Fabrizio Romano, him saying that Savinho isn't the squad or something like that. But again, you hear different things reported as the reasons. But Fabrizio Romano's exact words got them here. Savinho not involved in Man City's training today. City sources say that the absence is due to illness. Savinho has been clear once again this week that he wants to leave and join Tottenham. Gary, Have you ever seen a player more desperate to join a club? I'm thinking somebody he interacts with at every single post. Again, with Porro today, he's one of the first that liked it. He's now removed City from his bio and put his agent in his bio. I mean, you can look into all these things individually, and often we go, is that enough? But all these things we usually talk about, they're all together and at times about 10. He seems like Spurs, like you're putting more up about Spurs than actually the club itself. So is he desperate, do you think?
I just really hope for his sake that he hits the ground running, because it's going to look really bad for him. And I know Man City and all sorts are going to be on him, fans wise. Yeah, I've never experienced another player like so much of a potential club they're going to. He's clearly been sold on the club by De Zerbi and Xavi Simons. Obviously wants to be here. And again, like we were talking about earlier, it's such a shame to see Djed Spence leave. In a way, it's a shame to see a World Cup winning centre back leave. But I want players that want to play for Tottenham Hotspur, that want to put that shirt on and are desperate to come here. Savinho is one of them, and I'm excited by that. Again, the fee, it's not my money. Ultimately, I think it's probably too much, but there's a huge potential in him. I think he's a fantastic player. I'm excited I want players that are going to get me off my seat. I don't know about everybody else, so the five of us here and, the thousands of people watching this. I didn't get off my seat a lot last season for individuals when they picked the ball up. Mohamed Kudus was one of them. That didn't last too long, and then maybe Maddison when he came back. I thought we're going to get something here. This boy, I think, is going to get me off my feet. Him, Kudus, Xavi, Madders, they're players that are gonna change some things at the club going forward. So I'm excited. Again, we talk about the transfer fees. Ultimately, it ain't my money. It's some billionaire sitting in Bahamas. So let him spend it, and then let's get ourselves back up to where we belong. That's right at the top of the Premier League.
Absolutely right. Gary, on that then, I mean, there's big discussions at the moment on social media, I think particularly X, in terms of it is my money, it's not my money, it is, it isn't, and it just goes backwards and forwards. I mean, I hope that Spurs aren't doing that, upstairs, and maybe that's the reason why attacker hasn't come in. So if you're doing that, then that seems to take up a lot of time.
They were doing it they've been doing it for years with Daniel Levy. I don't think they're doing it now. We wouldn't have started this window if they were doing it, and we wouldn't have sold the players that we're selling if we were still penny pinching. I just don't see it. I feel like there's a change. I feel the attitude around the club is certainly changed. I think De Zerbi is huge on that. I think the younger generation of the Levy family's had that. Nick Boucher seems to be having quite a large influence. I feel like there's a change coming. I hope that I'm right, and and for all of our sakes, and that we're going for it. But we have a very bloated squad, and the money being used there is being reused. Hopefully, I know business dealings that the Levy family are doing as well. Money's coming into the club. Daniel Levy needs to put his hand in his pocket as well, by all accounts, too. So we'll see. I just feel like there's a different attitude this year. Tottenham feels different to me. I feel excited by it, and I think De Zerbi has a huge impact in that. Because I don't think he would have took that job had they not have made him promises that we're going to go and get the players you want. Because he's the type of guy that I think will go, see you later. You didn't do what you're saying, and we need him. We need that. We've been on for 53 minutes. You may not have seen, but today they had all the legends in the lodge, all having a dinner with the first team and Roberto De Zerbi. That doesn't happen before. The legends were coming out on social media, putting the club down and putting the management down. That doesn't happen. There's a difference this year. It feels different, and I really hope, for all of our sakes, that happens.
Hopefully,
I just please, because I can't go through another couple of seasons as we just did.
No, oh God, yeah. Some people out there, particularly rival fans, still say all of this just to finish 17th. So we want to prove the likes of them and the likes of that completely wrong. But Gary, I think you're right in terms of, and that's what I said earlier, in terms of are the vibes changing? Like we saw with Porro today. I just don't think that would have happened under a Frank or Tudor or even any of these giant and great managers we've had. It just feels different. I just feel like a bit classier and just gets it.
He wouldn't have re-signed, Harry. He wouldn't have signed that contract. Nor would Micky van der Ven. Exactly. Neither of them would have stayed. They wouldn't have. And we've got to look at that. And I know that we're miles away where we need to be. And I like that the club has even said that, look, this is going to take multiple windows. De Zerbi's been very vocal in pre-season. We, 60% down. We need 3 more players. Blah blah blah. Very vocal, more than we've probably ever experienced, and saying the things that we want to hear as fans as well, and being open and honest. I get that, it's that we are far away in terms of our attacking line. The number 9 spot there's just not a great amount of number 9s in the world. But we've got to understand we are trying to rebuild, and we can't rebuild very quick. It's not Football Manager, despite how much I spend playing that game.
I'm just going to say you love that.
I mean, it's
game.
4,500 hours on one of the games. I looked the other day. I can't believe I played that much on a computer game. And I'm just Yeah, I need to. But it isn't. You can rebuild your team in that. It's not. The reality is these deals take long, and in some senses, these takes for what feels like years. But I just, for his sake and for ours, I hope he hits that ground running when it comes against Brentford on day one, because he needs it. He needs it.
He does, absolutely. That Gary, thank you very, very much. Anthony, can I come to you? It's reported today, and I must admit, I don't know the guy or anything like that, but it's just been reported out there by lower tier sources coming from Brazil that Tottenham made an £85 million offer tonight for Savinho, reaching the figure Man City initially wanted. City now refusing to make it easy, apparently, and Savinho is determined to leave. He did not take part in the Thursday training session. That's because he wants to leave, which is interesting, contrary to what people around City are saying, that it's due to illness already. That contrary of the kind of report there. So, I mean, what do you make of that? And I hate to be the one to ask this question, but if the price is anywhere near 85 million, have Man City won out of this saga in really dragging it out?
Again, I don't necessarily agree with the fee, because I don't think he's worth 85 million, but I want these players in. I cannot go through 2 more seasons of finishing 17th or any lower. So we have to do something about it. So if it means that we have to, I guess, put extra 15 million down, 20 million down, because these are the players that we want, and we believe that in 2 or 3 or 4 years' time, they're going to be improving and getting to a certain level, then we got to do it. It's as simple as that. We got to do it. We cannot be left behind. And, Pochettino said it. It's going to be a difficult rebuild. It's going to be difficult because, like Gary said, we're going to get rid of players that we love, but also it's going to be difficult in terms of teams are not going to make it easy for us, because they can see that we're trying to build something great at Tottenham. But why are they going to make things easier for us? It doesn't make sense for them to. So we can turn around and say, yeah, City potentially have won now, but I'd like to think in 3 or 4 years' time, or even sooner, when we're lifting some trophies and, winning the league, that we're the ones who've won, because we've got the player that we want, a player that who clearly wants to play for us, because he's, liking every post on X and Instagram and things like that. So, yeah, again, who am I to really question the fee? But yeah, if it's 85 million and that gets him signed before Saturday, before that game against Brentford, then yeah, 100% do it.
Absolutely that. And I'll tell you what, if City need a replacement, we'll take your pick with our attackers. We could do a little swap deal here, and you can have 2 or 3 of them, and we'll bring the fee right down if you like.
Give him Richarlison.
I was just going to say, yeah. And you can have a couple of others as well, then we don't have to worry about money at all, and we'll all be happy. You can have 2 or 3, so never mind 1. And maybe Marmouche as well you can add in the deal, but that's not going to happen. Just to read out a couple of YouTube comments here then. David Clark says, the likes of Bale and Ginola have got fans off their seats. The only difference between them and Savinho is the first 2 not only excited fans by running past defenders, they created goals and score goals. A lot of people kind of making similar points, because Robbie's saying, HM panel, how many goals will Savinho add? Jordan, I'm going to ask you that. Savinho, let's pretend it happens. This is something we've been saying for a long while, I know, but it's going to happen. Let's picture that hypothetical. It looks likely. How many goals do you think Savinho adds in his first season? We get him over the line.
A number is difficult. I think he's not there to be a primary goal scorer. It will be he's there to create stuff more, and obviously it won't just be strictly numbers that we're looking at him for, and so it's going to be difficult to judge him on that. It's going to be so many different things that we're hoping that he will bring. I'd say if you look at the end of the season, the goals and assists, I'd be, with the fee and everything, I'd be very happy if he can touch. I mean, 15 for me would be really, really good, if I'm honest. I don't know if he'll hit that in his first season. I'm thinking potentially, if I was putting money on it, I would guess at 12 goals and assists at the end of the season, which the difficult for me is, as we said, we need to spend the money. We're not in a position to penny pinch anymore because look where it's got us. My one fear is this could potentially be a £300 million window, and we still ask where the goals are coming from. But my hope is that whatever the striker and goal scorer options are, the Savinhos and stuff like that are there to help that. Maybe even if he's not scoring and assisting, is he beating his man and starting the play or something like that? So yeah, I think 12 goals and assists if I had to bet on it. But I'm hoping that it's way more a reflection of how we're playing, what we're doing, and what we're trying to build.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I agree with you there. And before we move on to strikers then, Robbie says here in the YouTube chat that we're being turned over for fees. No doubt British clubs fear a turnaround for us with Roberto De Zerbi and trying to stall our ambitions. I like that way of looking at it, and you could well be right. Premier Hotspur saying, listen, no player is worth these kind of amounts, but if we want to be a big club again, then we have to go and pay that price. If we do with one game a week, that we'd be a force this season. Well, absolutely. I totally echo that. What we've got here, treble is on. Well, let's not even entertain anything like that. Yeah, because we'll look back and regret that. I think if you go back to last season, certainly my own anyway, look at probably the predictions have been very, very positive. Did you want to chip in, Gary?
Yeah, just on the Savinho situation, and I get that we judge players on goals and assists. Obviously, his first season with Man City, he got 10 assists, 2 goals. For me, the important bit to remember as well is if we have Kulusevski and Savinho and Kudus, or Kudus, Savinho and Madrid, whatever that combination is with Savinho, defenders are going to be going, where am I marking? Who am I looking for here? Because these are all dynamic players. Okay, I need to go to Kulusevski. Well, then that opens out Savinho over here. Or I've got to double up on Savinho. He's turning this over here. Well, that leaves Kudus free in the middle and Kulusevski or Maddison or Xavi Simons. We've got to remember that there's going to be lots of rotation and movement. Savinho can play left and he can play right. So the idea is if I'm coming at you, Harry, as a right winger and you're a left back, I should be able to know that if I can drag 2 of you at me, you and Anthony at me, I've got Alfie free. So Alfie becomes the threat. And if I can't get it to Alfie, Jordan's the threat in the middle. So we've got to be reminded that we shouldn't only judge on assists and goals. Yes, that's essentially what we like to do, fantasy football, football manager, whatever. But we need to look at as well that the fast way of what Pep Guardiola brought in, which he brought in from futsal and from basketball, is to obviously have the ball on one side and shift it really quickly. That's something that he's done and he's been mastering with Manchester City. He can bring to the club and then can add to that. So it's not just goals and assists we look at. Obviously, that's the most important thing, but that allows us to open up other areas. And if we haven't got a number 9, which I agree we all do need a number 9, I still think Dominic Solanke can put the ball in the net if he gets the right service. So hopefully he can get the service from the returning players and then Savinho. Hopefully I explained that.
No, I think you explained it really well. No, great. I love that example. It's official person. That was great. Of course you can.
Just want to add to that. Yeah, so obviously, 100%. I think Gary's right, the mark with that. And if we think about the earlier parts of last season when we did have Kudus, there's many times where Kudus will have the ball and teams will just go, you know what, we're just going to put 2 on him. And he's marked out the game. So us having these options of Savinho, Solanke, Tell, whoever else we bring in, it just, like Gary said, is going to create these rotations, these options. It's, do I mark Savinho? Do I mark Porro? Teams are going to start to become confused, and that's what makes the football more interesting and difficult for teams to approach. That's why teams are going to probably go, you know what, we're just going to have to sit in a low block and just hope for the best. But with a team that's fluid and got the rotations down to a T, we can be destroying teams and open them up with the creativity that we have. And again, with the goal and assist sort of thing, Savinho, he's a player, you can tell he takes pride and joy in assisting players. Some players are goal scorers, like your Harry Kanes, etc. And there's some players who they want to give that service to other players. So, if Solanke can get over his injuries, again, I think I've said it on previous podcasts, I think Solanke bangs in the goals, if he can manage those injuries, and we can obviously look after him, etc.
You got to look at the people below that as well. In the second line, in the midfield, we've now got two players that progressive passes in Matías Fernández and Sandro Tonali. Fernandez's ball range or passing range is incredible. So that for us is even better because we're now able to shift the ball quicker to these players that are more dynamic in the wings. I genuinely am really excited about Savinho. I really hope that he hits the ground running and that we can come on here and go, you know what, that stream we did back in whatever it is, August, it was perfect, but we were all excited by him and he's coming down exactly what we think. And
I'm day one Savinho. I'll always back Savinho. Harry knows that I love Savinho. I love him.
I think he's brilliant. I'm a big fan. I think like other players, he just needs time. He needs consistent minutes and playing. He's just coming from a serial winning football club that can only help as well. So let's hope we get it over the line and I can stop having to write articles about Savinho and tweets. And because I cannot wait to stop having to write Savinho is nearly signing for Tottenham in an article that I'm publishing. I can't wait.
I echo that, but from a content creation perspective. So I actually counted 3 days ago because I thought, this would be fun when we got that Savinho news. 49 different videos on Savinho across all platforms. I thought it'd be more. That's the only thing that didn't surprise me. I'm sure Alfie's would be plenty more.
I've had arguments on Twitter about it. I'm a diehard Savinho. Remember this day. I want everyone in this chat to remember this day. Savinho will become a Tottenham legend. That's all I'm saying.
I love it. I love it. It's great. But going back to what you were saying, I think when you want a player so clear that he wants to join the club, that's got to be positive. Do you know what this reminds me of, actually? I think it's easy to forget. Pedro Porro. I remember him very well in terms of begging on his flights. I still want to be here. And some people look and go, it's just weird. But I looked at him and went, that's what you want. I think we've seen that on the pitch. That kind of never die. I'm going to give it everything. You may disagree with me. And there was a point, I think, where Porro was a lot of questions asked of him defensively. I don't think he made the best start. I mean, likes Tim Schuer very quickly to go down that route. But it's funny, you never hear him talk about Porro now. That speaks volumes to Porro.
It's a rarity in this day and age of footballers wanting to play for a club so desperately. We've had 2 or 3. Porro, obviously Savinho when we do get him, and James Maddison. He literally came out and said it was always Tottenham for me. When Eriksen left, I wanted to be that number 10. That's what you want. Xavi Simons, he loves the club. These are the players that you want in your club. People that love the club, who breathe the club, who want the best for the club. We've got someone with a snapped ACL, and he's doing scouting work.
That's unreal. What you want. That's why I was so impressed with today that all the legends were with the first team and having dinner with everybody, because it just those are the guys that really care about the club. People on here, like we're sitting on here for like 2 hours tonight or whatever it might be, probably 4 hours knowing Harry. That out of absolute. He told me 60 minutes only, and I thought, all right.
But
that's it. You want people that absolutely care and love the club from behind, and it's same with anything that you do. If you're passionate and love it, you're going to give everything to it. And I get that sometimes that you might not get the very best, but I think these players are so good. They just need minutes. We need to be patient as well, and understanding, and trusting where we're going, because we've improved 2 real important areas. We just now need to finish that important forward line.
We absolutely do. Good chip in, Alfie.
Yeah, I think the Legends thing, I think it's come at a perfect time, a week before the Premier League starts. One last message, go give it your all. I think and in the Pedro Porro videos, a lot of youth players there, so I imagine they were all there too. I think having that from the bottom to the top, there's something about it. I love it, man. Like you said, Gary, it's such an exciting time to be a Tottenham fan right now. I know it's mental to say because 8-10 weeks ago, I thought, fuck me, I can't do this. But yeah,
I mean, I write about Tottenham for a living. It is my job. I write about Tottenham. And it's hard, man. It's hard, but it feels different. Every time you listen to Roberto De Zerbi speak, it feels like he gets it. He gets it. He gets what it means to be here. He gets what we want, what we need. And he wants to bring what we all want to see. And I'm just very, very excited about it. Very excited. Not felt like this since Pochettino. I must admit. So I'm really excited for it.
I think it was the end of that Everton game in front of the South stand. He just stood there and took it all in. That for me, you just knew he was locked in from then. He just knew, this is it now.
You could see it on his face on the camera. At one point, I think the camera just goes and you just see it in his face. It just hits him. He's like, whoa.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean,
I get it now.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. But I think Harry wants to move on because we've been on the topic for nearly about 40 minutes. So I'll pass.
No, I'm just listening. In terms of what Gary says, I'm determined to make it 4 hours now. Particularly you saying that it's suffering in this heat, I'll make it last 4 hours. But I can confirm I do have a reputation in my family. If I say 5 minutes, often they go and give me an hour. So yeah, maybe timing's not the strong point. But tell you what is a strong point of Tottenham is moving on players. And another player moved on is Min-Hyeok, who's gone on loan. I saw that yesterday. Alfie, in the nicest way possible. I mean, pre-season is usually an opportunity for the likes of Yang to really impress, to kind of go, this is why I don't need to go on loan, or this is why you should trust me. Was that, a pre-season of his nightmares, really? It felt to me, anyway, it couldn't have gone any worse. But I'm interested to know what you thought. What do you think, Alfie? Is he frozen? Alfie's frozen, so we don't know. Anthony, I'll redirect that question to you.
Yeah, Min-Hyeok, he definitely needs a loan. If I remember correctly, last season he had 2 loans. So if it was Coventry and QPR,
Portsmouth,
or Portsmouth and QPR, and
Portsmouth. Maybe I'm wrong.
He went to QPR, Portsmouth, and then went to Coventry.
Oh, okay,
you're right.
Cool. So
I just wrote an article on it.
Collective work team, love that. And he picked up several injuries, and he just hasn't found his feet. And I think, again, a lot of people don't understand how difficult these loans are, especially for players who are coming from, different continent such as Asia. So it's difficult. It's not easy having to, engross themselves into English culture and things like that. So I think this one at Waterloo could be the one where he starts to develop a bit. Belgium has a record of developing young players. I think it will just sort of give him a nice, relaxed loan where he's not in the media. And to a certain degree, we kind of will forget about him. And I think it will be a good thing for him in a way, because every now and again, it will pop up on Twitter and be like, oh, he scored a goal. Oh, he's assisted this and he's done this, etc. So, pre-season for him, I don't think it was the greatest. I think we all could see that. But I think there's something there. And whether he has a Tottenham future or career, we don't know. But I look forward to potentially, seeing how well he could potentially do and develop.
That's a good point. And I like what you say there in terms of you forget about it, and that can sometimes be a good thing. It does speak volumes, I think, to pre-season he had. But ultimately, pre-season, I think, was successful for many. Maybe not Min-Hyeok. But moving on to Vicario, because we've got some unexpected news just before going on air. Always the way you plan everything. Then all of a sudden, but I'm not going to complain. So Gianluca Di Maria reporting for Sky Sports that Juventus are now focusing on a loan deal for Vicario. I read that, I thought, then I saw the word loan and kind of calmed my expectation a little bit. Jordan, coming to you, what did you make of this news, really, firstly? And Vicario feels like a player that the club are absolutely ready to move on, but maybe a player that just might stay at Tottenham until January.
Yeah, it feels like another one that we might struggle to sell. It's such an interesting one because obviously I think it's pretty much before this month we all accepted that he was going to be gone, and then I think he thinks he was going to be gone, and De Zerbi thinks he's going to be gone. But if no one else wants him, you can't just release him. A loan probably works for all parties in the sense of you'd hope that he'd impress, whether it's back in Italy or whatever, and then someone does come in for 15, 20 million. It is a very much of a weird one, but it seems like a sort of a low risk one for whoever's going to loan him in, because then there's no obviously obligation, if there isn't an obligation to it. And it's sort of it's a sort of a try before you buy for them. Obviously he was really well respected and sought after in Italy when we got him initially. Hasn't had the greatest overall campaign at Spurs. So yeah, I like him. I like that his parents was in the stands for quite a while and getting involved. Like, he's cool. Someone in the comments said about, he said he'd sign in blood and crawl here. It's a little bit dramatic potentially. But I'd say, it's time to move on, definitely. If the structure of that is a loan, then so be it. But I don't think he's got a future at Tottenham. And I think whatever way is the most sort of beneficial for all parties will probably just have to be the way it goes now.
Absolutely that, John. Thank you very, very much. I have to see what happens with Vicario, but my gut tells me anyway that this might be one that does stay until January. Alfie, I come to you. Do we have you back? I was hoping that you'd gone off because we signed Savinho, but I don't think that's the case.
No, my phone died. Bit embarrassing, but I'm back. Yeah,
we've all done it.
Move. Yeah. Are we talking about Vicario? Yeah.
Yes, on Vicario. So talks of him going on loan to Juventus. How do you feel about
that? Yeah, I think Jordan put it perfectly. It's going to be one of them players that we just can't sell, to be honest. I said hard one, isn't it? Because if it's a loan, like I said, try before you buy. Yeah, I think January, we'll probably get him sold for about 15 million. But I don't think we'll sell in this window just because I don't think Tottenham are interested in a loan. I think they just want him off the books, to be honest.
Okay. Alfie, sticking with you then, your favourite player, Rando Colomwani, revealed he was distracted at Tottenham last season at the thought of returning to Juventus. He said, tough year at Tottenham, it can happen in a player's career, but I admit I was distracted by the desire to return to Juventus. I'm happy to be back here. Alfie, do you look at this maybe like I initially done and thought, do you know what, that's really poor considering a relegation battle, to say your mind was elsewhere, he looked lethargical and didn't look like he didn't care at times on the pitch? Or do you look at it and go, he's trying to sweet talk a fan base into pretending he's a good player and he wants to be here? And in reality, the fans probably don't have a lot of confidence in him and he's trying to win them back.
I said a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, I respect anyone that's worn a Tottenham shirt. I think he might be the first that I don't, to be honest. He didn't respect the club, did he? Let's be honest. He didn't care. And I think if you don't care about the club, you don't deserve to wear the shirt. And he was below par. I thought he was worse than Soldado, to be fair. So that's something I like to say. There was the game against Aston Villa where he started clapping the fans. Obviously, when we won there. And I saw right through it. You just know he's not engaged. He came onto the pitch every time. He didn't care. He just didn't care, and it's a lack of professionalism too. Why would you say that?
Alfie, I don't think for a minute that necessarily it's true. I think he's just trying to sweet talk Juventus and their fans more than anything. But even if it is true, and that'd be even shocking, that'd be the shocking part. I mean, how can you forgive or think that it's okay? It kind of happens to say that my mind was elsewhere. Don't worry, we're in a relegation battle and my club's about to go down to the Championship, but I was thinking about my summer move. I mean, you just can't do that, can you?
He knew that he was leaving.
Yeah. And I think
there was no obligation, there was no fee or nothing. It was a straight loan. So to him, he was leaving no matter what was happening anyway. So again, like Alfie was saying, it is a complete lack of professionalism. But to him, So I'll move on anyway. That's what we, and I think that again comes down to the very, very lack of leadership within the core element of the team, plus people above him in terms of who was on the dugout. Yeah, he's come into a club that's just won a trophy. He sacked the manager, brought in Thomas Frank, then sacked him, then brought another manager in. He's probably thinking, what is going on here? I ain't coming. It's natural. He's got no affiliation with the club, so I can get it. He's probably trying to sweet talk Juventus, like you say, Harry, but
just you look at
João Palhinha. There was 2 players in loan. There's such a massive contrast between Kolo Muani and João Palhinha. João Palhinha loved the club. I think if every player moved like Kolo Muani on loan, there'd be no point of loans anymore. You should be like João Palhinha. He cared about the club. Was there for a short term. Had in the last 5 years probably the biggest impact on the club's future in terms of crucial goals at the end. Obviously against Everton and Wolves. That's the player.
Doesn't he? He wants.
That's what I'm saying. That's what you should be like, because even if you don't get the permanent move, you can be a little bit selfish and say, if I play well here, I can get a good summer move. I can show that I've got good professionalism. So if again I don't get. He probably was the same for Juventus fans, but I think it's a massive lack of respect and professionalism. I think that's a massive red flag from a player, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously he was unhappy, didn't get the move to Juventus because they tried to get him last summer as well. And then obviously Tottenham come in. So he probably was unhappy with that. Like, I want to go. I don't want to stay here. He's been moved on. Just shows the difficulties that the biggest club in Italy are having financially. They can't go and buy 2 players, essentially, Kolo Muani and Vicario, despite that they want him. They are having the biggest
comment
club.
says this.
The biggest club in Italy are having to loan a goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's worrying. I think if one of the biggest clubs in the world, let's not just say Italy, they're one of the biggest clubs in the world, are struggling financially. They're not getting. I know Italy's a bit of a league where it's a little bit corrupt, a lot of politics. Don't really want to get into that, but I think it's worrying if big clubs are now struggling in the top leagues.
Yeah,
I don't like it, man. I really don't like it.
No,
it's not good. No, I agree with that. I think Muani was always going to be, in terms of flop, or do you know what? This is incredible, like short term, but it was never going to be an in between. It always felt like that, and I think it was a flop, unfortunately for him, and unfortunately for us. But I just don't like to hear that after what we've been through. To hear that your players thinking about something else, because ultimately, I'll never forget De Zerbi said, sometimes with Muani, it can be 12 players when he's on it, and that for me was saying to Muani, come on, you can give more, and it always felt like that with Muani. You can give so much more.
Like I said a couple of weeks back, I'll always respect a player for wearing the shirt, but the second you disrespect it or disrespect the fans, you don't have the respect of me anymore. And I mean, he probably don't care about my opinion, but enjoy Italy.
So even that for his next club, it just looks so bad saying that about him.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And if he moves on for Juventus, is he going to say the same thing? Think about move elsewhere, and it could just go on and on and on. But time is running out, so just talk about a couple more things. So new kit, 3rd kit is out for the 26-27 season. I know what I think of it. I think Alfie's reaction speaks for itself. So we know how Alfie feels. So unfortunately, we'll skip you out with this one. We'll come back to you in a minute, Alfie. I know how you feel about this one. Jordan, thoughts on this kit then? Because as usual with Tottenham X or Tottenham Twitter, if you like, there is never an in-between. There's never a middle ground. It's I hate it, bin it, and there's I absolutely love it, and I'm going to go and buy 5 of them. There is no in-between. Where do you sit on that? Or do you Blake what I'm saying here? Do you feel differently and in the middle?
Yeah, you know what? I actually think I'm bang in the middle. I know it's a play on the old purple pony one. I like collared shirts. I think the purple's cool. It's not the greatest kit I've ever seen, but it's not the worst. I don't mind it at all. Obviously, 3rd shirts, I still feel like the black one we had last year, and then the green one we had it in Champions League would be better than that for me. Or I can't remember if the last year was the black was away or the 3rd, but that
it was the yellow. The yellow one was the 3rd shirt. The retro one.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah. So yeah, I like the yellow shirt. I like the green one. This is cool. I don't have major opinions about it. I'm probably not gonna rush to buy it. But listen, if the team's playing well in it, then it will have good memories for me. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly that. And that's the thing, isn't it? I think a lot of people also compare the kits to last season, go, oh, I like that, or they compare it to previous purple kits and go, oh, it's not quite the same, therefore, we absolutely hate it. Even though they're saying that something very close we absolutely love, we have to hate it because it's not quite as good. It's not quite the same.
Just still waiting for us to do a brown kit again, like the 06 or 7 or 8, around about there, with the gold lettering. Was beautiful.
I have to see. And that's the thing, I'm not always sure about my kits, but I think the last couple of seasons I'm going to jinx it, but in my view anyway, they've been a little bit better. Alfie, in true your own style, true Alfie style, there is, again, you proved my point, there is no in between. It's love or hate. Gakpo and Savinho is a great example, that one extreme to another.
Yeah.
With the kit, I feel like you're going to prove my theory right here. I know how you feel about the kit, so tell people you feel strongly.
So, Harry, for the first 5 seconds of viewing the kit, I thought, But then the media photos came and I saw Tonali in the kit and I thought, wowee. Yeah, it's a nice kit. It's definitely not better than the yellow kit last season. I love that kit, man. I love a retro crest. I think the only things you can improve on it is maybe the retro crest on it, because I know it's a hernage to the, I think, 1997 shirt. I think it is anyway. Don't know if I'm right with that. But yeah, I think if a retro crest was in it, 10 out of 10 for me. But as far as Fed kits go, I like it. And I don't think we're going to use it because we've got basically a purple away kit. So I don't know if we're even going to see it, to be fair. But if we do, I don't mind it.
Absolutely that. Okay, thank you very, very much. For now, we're going to move on to, something that I saw actually again just before coming on air, and that is Opta Supercomputer. Of course, we see it every year, and last season would have been interesting because I think us being an example, would have been a total anomaly and totally wrong out there. So here's what it says for those who haven't seen it. Surprise, surprise, of 3 newly promoted teams to go down. So a lot of faith as always in the newly promoted teams, Hull, Ipswich and Coventry in that order, bottom upwards. Interestingly, Forest and Palace in 17th and 16th. They've got Sunderland in 16th. It goes on and on and on. But what we want to know is that Tottenham, where are they? And they've got us in 6th on 64 points. And what's interesting is there's quite a nice gap behind us of 6 points, and there's quite a big gap in front of us with 8 points. So kind of on our own in that 6th position. Jordan, I come to you. What do you make of this supercomputer? And if I offered you what it says here, 6th place, take it or leave it now, would you take it?
I would do some bad things for a 6th place finish, I think, yeah. Yeah, 6th place right now would be good. It's throwing me off that they've put Crystal Palace with 16 points. I think it's meant to say 36, but that's really bugging me out.
Yeah, great shout, yeah.
But yeah, ideally, you don't want Arsenal winning it again, but where we've been, the only sort of sweetener for them winning the league is the fact that we were so worried about going down. The fact that we stayed up, I sort of don't care that they won it at all. It was like such a relief that we're still here. What if we then did finish 6th, say last season, they won it would have hurt a lot more. But yeah, 6th, I would take that. 64 points is like, double than what we got last year. I would take that straight away and just, that looks good to me.
Absolutely. So that is what the supercomputer says then. And there'll be more, I'm sure, throughout the season, and always the one around Christmas or the first international break just before that is very different. To end then, and Gary, I promise, I do mean to end. One player that you're looking forward to watching against Hoffenheim and score prediction. We'll start with you first, Gary.
Oh, wow.
Be on the spot. That's payback.
Yeah. Matisse Fernandez. I want to see his passing range in person. If he isn't playing, then Sandro Tonali. Don't think I've seen Sandro Tonali play in person before. I can't remember if I had, so interested to see him. Score predictions don't really matter overall. 2-1 to us. I'd like to see Luca Williams-Barnett play as well. Obviously seen him loads because I'll go to all the 21s, but I'd like to see him play as well. He's back in training, which is good. But Matisse Fernandez, hopefully he's playing on Saturday.
Fingers crossed, that'd be great. And to see both Fernandez and Tonali midfield, I'm sure would be an absolute dream for all of us. Jordan, coming to you because I know that you have to jump. Score prediction and at least one player you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I think I'm going to copy Gary, actually. 2-1, 3-1 seems like a pretty responsible and reasonable thing. Obviously, the last thing you want is people being injured. So if it's the case of us losing and no one sprints and pulls a hamstring, that's fine with me. So some of the youth players getting involved. I know a lot of people have asked about having Byfield promoted to the right back, as like now Spence is gone. I'm not sure if he's injured or would be ready to play in the Hoffenheim game or anything like that. But it would be cool if he is. The vision is him to be one of those players that can cover at right back. I'd be interested to see how if he's being used.
That's a good shout. I like that.
He's still injured.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You might get Ty Hall, that a player at right back who's been playing.
That's a good shout. Yeah. Anyone that they're going to be, trying to put into right back, I'll take.
Absolutely that. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Archie Gray.
Yeah, exactly.
Poor Archie.
Alfie, poor Archie indeed. I feel for him. Alfie, coming to you, score prediction and one player looking forward to watching, and that makes me think. There, we talk about Ty Hall. How we always have the discussion. Ty Hall,
Tyrese,
different players.
Come on. Okay, I try to change this every week. I did Van Hecker last time, so I'm going to go Lucas Berg. Well, I thought it was great against Getafe, so I hope he has a good game against Hoffenheim. I'm not actually interested in the result. I'm interested to see, with us playing on our pitch again, if injuries occur, because at that point I can tell that there's a problem with the pitch. So I don't care what the score is. We could lose 5-0 as long as you have no injuries. I don't care.
No, we don't be losing 5-0. But you're right. The sentiment's right about injuries. But for the love of the game, Alfie, and for the sake of the game,
go on then. 7-0 Tottenham. No, 2-1. 2-1, I think.
Okay. Alfie, thank you very, very much. I got that in the end, as usual. Anthony, I come to you. Score prediction and one player you're looking forward to watching against Hoffenheim this weekend. I will note we played them twice, actually, Saturday and then Sunday.
Yeah. I think, like Gary, looking at Matheus Fernandes and Tonali. Again, the passing range, the link-up play, the quick switcher play. That's the sort of vibe I want to see. But also, I'd really want to see Williams, Barnett, and Rio. I think them two have been very, very good this preseason. So in terms of the youth aspect, I would love to see them get some minutes. And obviously playing against a Bundesliga team at this stage in preseason. So yeah, I think those are the players I'll be looking forward to. In terms of the result, I'm going to say 2-0. I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-0. I don't expect us to be banging in tons of goals, but I'm going to say it's 2-0.
That's the thing. We need to improve the attack, then maybe we can. So at the moment, I'm looking at where's the goals going to come from. I can see us keeping the goals out. I can see the midfield looking strong. I can see maybe the chance to upgrade. Yeah, good point. But on that note, strange note, we will end this episode of Scarfe Spurs. So firstly, thank you to everyone who's listened, who's watched, who's put questions in, who's contributed throughout. Appreciate it. Great numbers as always. So yeah, and we'd love to hear from you. So thank you very, very much for bringing out as many comments and answer as many questions throughout the discussion as possible. Jordan, firstly, because I know you have to jump, thank you so much for coming on Scarfe Spurs once again. It's lovely to have you back on. Where do people follow you on the socials?
No, mate, always been a pleasure. Always is a pleasure. Love coming on here and talking to the guys and you yourself as well. My ex-Twitter's there for Julie J, and then you'll probably see me pop up on all different channels, be it Lily White, Lab, Spurs Express, anything like that. So if you do see me, say that you saw me on Scarfe, then we'll know.
We know exactly that. Well, I told you the other day I was scrolling through, and then it was your video for Lily White Labs, then it was yours for Spurs Express, then it was my own, then it was my own for another page. I was like, oh my goodness, there's a recurring theme. Yeah, just two people. What's going on? Jordan, no pleasure, and keep up the amazing work that you do for a load of different pages and places. So
appreciate it.
Thank you for your time tonight. No, thank you. Feel free to jump as well. Alfie, thank you so much for coming on. A pleasure as always. May not agree on everything, but I told you before, I do think you are great. Where do people follow you on the socials? We'll talk to people a little bit as well. What you do for the channel away from this.
I'm just a mad northerner. Everyone needs a northerner in their life. So, where can you follow me? That little I've done it again every week. I can't do it. There we go. Perfect. ABTHFC on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, of course. You can find me on Scarfe Spurs Talk on Twitter, TikTok too, because we love a video on Scarfe Spurs Talk. I did do videos for Spurs Daily, but we know how that went, don't we, Harry? But yeah, pleasure as always. Nice to meet Jordan and Gary, and of course, Anthony. Pleasure as always again. And Harry, of course. We don't always agree, but that's the beauty of football, and that's why we get along so well. So yeah, thank you for having me again.
No, pleasure. You weren't meant to mention that, but thank you
I did.
I did. You did mention it. How dare you? No, you're fine. But obviously a pleasure, and keep up the amazing work. You're right, we don't agree on everything, but hey ho. I know how you feel about a certain topic, Savinho and Gakpo. I know the no-go zones, let's just say. Alfie, thank you very, very much. Anthony, it's fantastic to have you back on Scarfe Spurs. You also do amazing work away from the stuff you do for my podcast as well. So tell people where they can find some of your stuff, because you're, again, like the whole panel here, doing stuff everywhere within the Spurs space.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure sharing the mic with you guys. If you want to find me at the Tottenham Lens across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Keep up amazing work. Loving the videos and loving your perspective on things as always. Anthony, thank you so much. Always welcome back on. Gary, despite what you said earlier, fantastic to have you on as always. I'll not be retracting my earlier comment saying that I'm looking forward to having you on. But all jokes aside, where can people follow you on the socials and talk to people about Project Spurs?
Well done for keeping it under 2 hours. So well done for that, Harry. We all appreciate that. Pat on the back. No, all seriousness, thanks for having me. As I say, I haven't been on anything for a number of weeks, so nice to come back and start chatting Tottenham and being excited again. You can follow me on X, is pretty much where I am. I'm on X. I've just started a Blue Sky. I don't know why. I just thought I would. Instagram, Facebook. It's all Tottenham, all of the accounts. So I tweet all day. Updated news, articles going out multiple times down on the Roundtable, which is an American website which I work for. So yeah, just Tottenham, and more Tottenham. If you want to talk about Serie A, which I love, I'll be more than happy to talk about that. Football Manager saves as well. Let me know the crazy teams you're playing as. I'm FC Nordsjælland at the moment, which is in Denmark. Absolutely love that club, and they're going to be playing the under-21s this year.
You're my kind of guy. You're my kind of guy.
I'm gonna go tell the manager that I know all the players, and I'm gonna try and name them all, just to be some weird fanboy. So yeah, if you want to talk about that, MLS, I love the MLS as well. Football, just football, movies, football, steak and burgers. I'm an easy, simple man. And
sounds good.
Pepsi Max. So any of those things, I'm your man. It's this here. That's how you do it, Alfie.
It'll learn one day. Maybe Savinho would join first.
I don't think I ever will. I'll be honest.
Alfie, that's called experience, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my fourth time. All right, let me off.
He's been trying since day one, and we've been in talks with Savinho, and what 370 days now? So
yeah, and I still can't do it.
Well, you never know which one's going to come first is the real question. But thank you to my fantastic panel for tonight. Really do appreciate it. Drop us a follow if you're listening on audio platforms. Subscribe on YouTube if you're new. If you come back in, thank you so much. You put your trust in us for the first time. Also, thank you so much. For now, a massive come on you Spurs.